Salve, salve galerinha, chegamos a mais um dia de MSI no Rumble Stage 6 contra 6, o famoso hexagonal. E estamos no jogo entre os times, a porta dos desesperados, como a gente pode chamar, tá? E na porta dos desesperados temos aqui Cloud9 contra Pentanet, tá? E vamos lá. A C9 pegou o Uga, mas eles sabem que eles podem tomar uma Morgana na cara, né? Eles estão cientes disso, né? Eles vão tomar uma Morgana na boca, é isso.
Dominant C9 generally have been in the early game, that you fall behind, you can still come back and not have to worry. Well,
gostei. Cena TK, gostei disso. Cena TK contra não, provavelmente Nautilus e Kaisa.
Of the other powerhouse junglers in the Rumble and the Morgana. That one's going to be locked in first up. The center here next for C9 is something that we saw them fall prey to in the hands of Dam1 Kia
Samira contra Senna? Meu Deus. É bem ruim na realidade. Tem muita mobilidade, mas é um campeão que é difícil de chegar na cena.
As a whole, the Samira can do really nicely into Senna, because once you're actually on top of Senna and you can blow her up, you can tone down the scaling that we did so.
Gosto dessa retirada de ultimate, porque o Silas é... As três ultimates são boas pro Silas até o momento. Focando a pool do Biopanzer, já que só sobrou ele. Sobrou o Chess também, claro. Mas o que me dá a entender é que o Perkz vai pegar alguma coisa bem psicopata, então o Perkz está pronto para pegar o que vier.
Yes, certainly is, and we've seen some pretty ridiculous Sylas pickups as well. The Gnar already banned out, of course, one of Sylas's favorites when it comes to stealing away ultimates. As, like you were mentioning, it is a bit of a Biopanther focus here from the top side of the map. Maybe Fudge is sort of remembering.
Eu acho que agora ele liberou os Vayne pra pegar um Yasuo da vida sem problema nenhum. Apesar dele não ter nenhuma sinergia com a composição até o momento.
This is setting up for a better situation for Pabu than we've seen in the past, where there is a lot more prio already on the map, right? The Samira Nautilus has a lot of early game power. The
Jace é o campeão mais instável até agora.
It's fallen off a little bit already. Of course, we still see it a lot because Showmaker loves it.
Yes.
But it can still, against basically any pick, if you play it well, get early prio, and that should get Pabu in a better position, because he's had some. We talk about unlucky for C9. Pabu also had not had the greatest moments.
E Zoe, ok, a Zoe do Perkz é forte. É um campeão que consegue pressionar a Syndra de outras maneiras. Ele vai pra ele. Acabou a vida do Jace. O Yorick tava muito forte nesse patch, meus amigos. Tipo, muito forte nesse patch. E é quase impossível pro Dir entrar no Yorick com o campinho em volta dele. Nossa.
But the Yorick here is really interesting. I kind of would have expected PGG to go with a continuation.
São 4 pessoas e um split pusher. Se esse Yorick ficar na frente, ninguém para ele na side lane. Sozinho não.
From a very very reliable source, which is just a Yorick one trick that was very high up in the US ladder. And you need to kind of one trick Yorick, right? Because it's such a unique and it's a weird champion.
Meu amigo.
Has an incredible matchup into Jace. Like,
que jogo exótico.
Levels,
incrível.
In general, Yorick in a 1v1 is an absolute nightmare.
Na jungle a gente já viu esse matchup umas 300 vezes, os dois têm um timing bem parecido. Então se eles começarem no mesmo lado, eles se encontram, se eles começarem em lados opostos, eles se desencontram, digamos assim, né?
I'm incredibly excited. I've been a massive fan of Yorick throughout my entire League of Legends career. I admit it was largely when he'd just drop ghouls on people. That is no longer the case, really. But with all of the changes that have happened over the past couple
Nesse
of patches,
momento agora,
it is going to be very interesting to see how that matchup has
vai fazer.
Of course,
Eles são obrigados a fazer alguma coisa.
Of the map is Praedyth already under a little bit of fire here as Vulcan and Sven just moving on forward. Praedyth will be okay, but softened up for the moment as C9 patrolling over a ward, but will get the initial aggression out.
And that's the value of the glacial augment. Deco needs to be
Meu Deus.
careful, but he can get away there. And yeah, once you hit your first auto attack on the center, more will follow.
É o tanquente mais agressivo do universo.
At the end of the duel, Praedyth can just go back, and that will be the end of that. I want to see a lot of attention being paid towards his top side though, because I do imagine that a Biopanther on the Yorick, one of his most definite.
Cara, eu não imagino o Bleber pisando nessa lane, a não ser que ele vá fazer dragão. Fora isso, eu sinceramente eu nem quero ver ele nessa lane. Porque Senna TK é uma lane muito estável. Tipo, extremamente estável.
It has certainly been a while. I liken Yorick's playstyle very similar to that of an Alawi, which we have, you know, in the past had a lot of Alawi players as LCK people. However, even that, with Ixu leaving the league, has come to an end. So this is really cool, sort of the dedicated spot.
E agora sim faz sentido também o Perks fazer aqueles flanqueamentos que ele tava fazendo sempre, sabe? Ele de Yone podia fazer, ele agora de Zoe tem como flanquear, ele tem como jogar uma bolha do soninho lá da PQP e matar alguém antes da luta começar. O que é bem diferente de um Lucian, né? Que ele tinha que dar. Ele teria que pegar um flanco e ignorar os caras. Surreal.
Yeah, the early game isn't great. It's not until you get a couple of levels and get a little bit more damage under your belt that you can actually start threatening. And with this Panther composition, I personally would have loved for them to go for something like a Wukong, which is something that Mad Lions have used repeatedly. Armut has had great performances on that because I feel like it fits a little bit better into the team composition while still being a super strong counter to the Jace or a Malphite. But this does give Biopanther a lot more abilities. What I am a little bit sad to see is the fact that both Chaz and Praedyth and Deco are getting aggressively pushed in here, and that means that Pabu's possible contention on this bot side Scuttle Crab is basically not gonna happen, and that might lead to a double Scuttle.
Meu Deus, vai ter uma luta no Scuttle. Não, vai ter double Scuttle? Não, não fala isso. Vai ter luta com a Morgana. O Blabber no negócio não é muito feliz, cara. Lembra disso.
Now you've got Blabber running all the way towards that top side Scuttle. Now there's a few people getting a little bit nervous here as Biopanther's going to lose out on that trade right there. As that's
Meu Deus.
Binding connecting here. Perks going down very low on first blood after the flash, and Pabu picks it up. Now Blabber will start on this Scuttle, and it looks like Pabu might let him live just this time around, but a great beginning here for Pentanet.gg.
I'm just baffled, Atlas, because we've seen the fights around Scuttle. This is not even around Scuttle. This is about securing priority so he can fight for Scuttle, and an overstep from Perks, not something we're really used to seeing from him. And it means an early kill for Pabu. Sure, he gets double scuttled, but if you get a free kill to go, then you're still going to be more than happy as Morgana keeps him relevant in terms of XP. And yeah, I'm pretty sure here in the new X-Factor replay, it literally just a scatter into...
Foi literalmente o QE mais o stun da Morgana. Isso foi muito ruim pra ele, impressionante.
C9 trying to set up, right? Trying to set up
Nossa, ele não pode andar nesses corredores curtos contra uma Syndra, cara. Ele sabe disso.
And giving up kills like that this early,
é uma coisa meio... São os mesmos erros de ontem e anteontem.
You can see BioPanther starting to have a better time up here towards the top side, as well as, of course, the CS will equalize after that wave is eaten by the Jace. Here on the bottom side, though, Pentanet.gg continuing to struggle with all of the added range that C9 do have down here, especially with the extraordinary amount of safety that they also have going for them. Vulcan just getting some deep vision there towards the bottom side of the map. And it looks like C9 does still own the map, despite the fact that that first blood did go over to Pentanet.gg. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Blabber has been getting around this jungle just a little bit faster.
And it's of course not the end of the world, right? The kill was unfortunate, but C9 clearly not really getting thrown off by it. They still have prio in basically every lane, BioPanther notwithstanding. Vulcan and Sven have been laying so much pressure on Creative and Decoy, and Blubber is actually able to play around it, right? Sure, Perks died, but he's still got a double scuttle. They will get the first Drake here, which puts them in a much happier position than they would otherwise be, although Decoy...
Meu Deus.
Man, he needs one extra link on that anchor's chain and he would have been able to pick up the Udyr there.
E agora isso obriga o Udyr a cleanar o campo. Eu acredito que ele ia só resetar. Mas agora ele foi obrigado a forçar a cleanar os Krogs dele, porque ele sabe que tem uma possibilidade de invasão.
Will be spotted there.
Yep, he's going to be able to clear out this ward as the bubble does go wide. Scatter the Weak going to miss as well as Black Shield there, just to deter Perks from throwing any more magical things towards the Syndra. And Pentanet.gg will just accept the fact that this game is extraordinarily even at 6.5 minutes in.
Agora sim, o Yorick, nesse homing do Jace, ele vai comprar tempo, ele vai começar a crescer. E vocês vão começar a ver a partir do item de dano do Yorick. Agora vai ser um pouco complicado já.
There she is. Yeah, hello.
Hi, Julia.
It's been a while.
It really has. It really has. As Pabu's going to turn up as well. Of course, Julia very popular. Going to have a lot of friends as Fudge. Gonna have to just step away from this one. The Maiden of the Mists definitely dangerous as Blabber is gonna find Pabu here alongside Fudge. But Baby Cage
a parede do Yorick é muito boa.
Also connects. As Pentanet.gg will just
drive on.
And it's a flash into a cage. And I was joking about it earlier, but in this scenario it actually does work really well.
It's a very anti-Udyr spell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't even really thought of that.
No, neither of us had, and I'm happy that you pointed that out, because we really got thrown off by the Yorick. Unfortunately, Julia does get taken down, so need to wait a little bit before we see her again. But I actually wonder what Pentanet is going to do here, because I do feel that with the Yorick in the side lane, it might be a possible solution to the problem that C9 is going to create for them in the mid to late game, which is this is an insanely strong poke composition with a lot of sustain. The PGG comp is fairly short range.
O out range da Cloud9 ele é bem claro e ele vai acontecer de um jeito ou de outro. Mas é realmente, são 4 caras e um Yorick na side. Esse Yorick sempre vai estar na side. Se ele se juntar ao time, tem algo de errado. Ou eles querem fazer um objetivo, ou eles querem distrair.
It does depend on execution, and I think this is something that Pentanet can do, but it is
mas eu acho que é complexo, é bem complexo mesmo. Agora, a C9, ela também não tá com uma composição facinha de executar não, tá? Composição de poke nunca é fácil de executar. Porque se você toma um engage, você toma uma ult do Nautilus, uma ult de uma Morgana, uma Syndra, e errou, acabou. Essa mira faz uma faxina na equipe de vocês.
The stun and some extra damage, as there's the Dark Procession once again. BioPanther not going to be able to trap Fudge, as he can just head towards the skies, and will be okay for the moment. But you can see the Yorick having a much better time as the game goes on.
Really cute from Fudge there, able to jump out with the ghouls. However, if the ghouls are in the cage, you have a really big problem there, because I think in that scenario, BioPanther just walks up to you, shovels you in the face, and there's really not a lot you can do. And that's why I expect C9 to try and get Fudge out of that lane as soon as possible, and that's why that first dragon pickup from Blabber was really key, because it means that
e se a C9 conseguir jogar esse arauto no top de alguma maneira, pra liberar ou no top ou no mid, eu acredito. Eles podem até jogar pro bot e inverter a lane, mas eu não acho maravilhoso. Eu prefiro as outras opções.
I don't know whether it's like, you know, one of the classics, but I think there was an old superhero called the Shoveler.
Oh, you learn something every day.
Yeah, if you guys
E realmente a ideia é liberar o Jace para ele sair desse matchup contra o Yorick, porque mesmo dando poke ele não vai ter um matchup favorável, ele não vai ter uma vida feliz contra esse Yorick.
Completely busted this champion is, as there's a hook connecting onto Vulcan, and not a lot of eventuating, as is basically what happens in this situation. As another beautifully placed Dark Procession. Basically, Uda has the worst time ever trying to get through this Yorick. He just puts walls up. Oh my goodness.
I said it as a joke, but starting like this is the second time this has happened, and now I'm just starting to wonder, like, is this actually is this just a hidden tech against the Udyr pick? Like, have we finally found it after he's been nerfed time and time again? It could be the case. I think the problem with Biopanther is going to become, or with the York pick rather, is going to be a lot more apparent once you get into team fights, right? Because now we're still in the laning phase. Yes. As mentioned before, Sven and Vulcan have been impeccable with applying this pressure on bot side. Either due to the top side pressure, it's still relatively even, but I think once the actual team fights break out, I want to see how they use it, because Biopanther just teleported to the top side, right? Like, he's very clear, he's not leaving this lane. Like, he's not going anywhere.
And I don't think he should. I 100%.
Nossa, duas barricadas já na mão do Yorick. E aquilo ali foi sem estourar o... E por que eu achei que ia ser ou top ou mid? Porque se eles liberam mid, eles liberam a Zoe para subir, e aí com a Zoe eles podem fazer uma pressão de 3 contra 1 no Yorick. Se for alma infernal... nuvem, tá bom. Não é incrível, mas tá bom.
And that is what's going to happen here. Of course, if C9 grab it, they only need to go through
tipo, sendo bem sincero, uma das nuvens acho que não é incrível para nenhuma das composições.
Before they get the soul, which feels actually pretty amazing, as Azael of course taught us yesterday, which is fantastic.
Porque as principais ultimates da... talvez para o PGG seja melhor do que para C9, por conta da... Morgana, talvez. E aí você usa o ultimate, ganha move speed e sai saindo. Tá entrando mesmo.
Shield, and now the teleport to come forward. Chaz looking to try and turn up. Can he land the spears is the question. Vulcan is the target, and they do manage to pick it up.
Mas eu acho que eles vão ser fascinados depois disso, hein?
Now Perks comes in, and it's a shooting gallery for C9. Exhaust comes through. Blabber picks up the first one. Praetif still dashing around though, trying to get more. Another hook is going to connect.
Meu Deus, se o Praetif ficar vivo...
able to get himself around, has himself the stopwatch as well. As Chaz desperate for it, waits for him to come back. And he does manage to pick up the kill, but now Sven picking up so much in this bot lane fight. It's a fiesta, but it's fun.
Cara, que zona essa luta, cara.
What a bloodbath in the bot lane here from C9. It starts out as just a Pantanet play, but it devolves into something much more than that here. Atlas. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna need to check the replay to see who actually gets the better end of this, because I'm not entirely sure. All summoners get focused or get used by Vulcan and Sven, and that in itself is a big win for Pantanet. However, they smell an opportunity here, the teleport comes in, which means that Chaz does have Pry on the play. Perks, however, had already been roaming at this point, right? And that's why Pantanet recognized, okay, we actually need to get out of it. We know that the Zoe is coming. But then the subsequent execution here from either team on this skirmish is beautiful. Praetif here able to block the Paddle Star, the hook on top of Perks, which means that in the end he will go down. And I agree with you. I think you benefit from the C9 by forcing out so much more from Pantanet.
E o Chaz ainda pegou uma kill, e o Perks não pegou nenhuma kill. E o Chaz pegou duas. A diferença foi o build path, na real, agora. O Perks focou no Echo de Luden, na Tempestade de Luden. Ele focou em Luden, enquanto a Syndra pegou a bota e 2/3 de um item. Então isso dá uma grande diferença já no matchup.
Anemic Zoes are very difficult to play out in the mid game, which should be your playground, right?
Esse foi bom pro Di. Pra cena tá sendo maravilhoso, porque ela pegou... Ela teve acesso a almas que ela não teria normalmente, porque são mais campeões pra ela bater, e a alma de campeão ela bate... Sempre que ela bater ela vai ter disponível, né? Meu amigo, esse Yorick já tá de trindade. E é tudo que ele queria, tempo sozinho com o Jace. É tudo que o Jace não quer, inclusive, tempo sozinho com ele.
Oh, let's see whether the baby cage is going to be in the right spot. And yep, it's both of them alongside Julia. Poor Julia gonna get smoked. And okay, that's going to be Biopanther making it out, but one of his biggest tools not going to be there to smack down that turret.
And Sven and Vulcan are the heroes here yet again, because just the fact that they are able to continuously have pressure means that they... Now the vision will finally get swept out, but you saw how long Praetiv and Deco had to wait there. Praetiv might still get caught.
Yeah, Root is going to connect Decoy, trying to keep him alive.
Lembrando, eu não digo que a bot lane da C9 não deveria ter pressão. Pressão deles depende de execução, depende a outra composição é de muito low range, né? Você tem zero range com essa mira praticamente, ela tem muito curto alcance. Mas acho que o ponto chave não é o range. É... Ai, meu Deus. O ponto-chave não é o range, o ponto-chave é posicionamento e postura. Didn't find the kills he really needed to, but in these scenarios, just him and Fudge being there together, throwing out skill shots continuously, make it so much harder to get anything done. They got the turret before Shelly even got the chance to get the first charge. Então, e qual é o ponto? Ah, eles não precisam de ajuda. É, eles não vão ser, eles vão poder ser uma lane safe. Sim, isso quer dizer que eles, tanto quando eles estão avançando, quando eles estão recuando, tanto quanto eles estão recuando, eles estão safe. Nossa, deixaram... Putz, ferraram o Biopanther. Cara, era só ele ficar lá e levar a torre, olha isso. Nossa, que triste, cara. Aquele triste momento em que uma equipe chama o Split Pusher para se juntar com o time, sendo que ele teria levado a torre. Ele literalmente teria levado a torre nesse tempo agora. And then the Drake gets given up, right? So they attempt, they know that they need to try and do something here. Might look for another pick on Perks though.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see whether Decoy can make it on down. Death Charge after the flash is going to come on forward. Now Perks seeing who he wants to exhaust, but it looks like the chances are not going to be there. Just too much CC with the good old
Perks ficou tempo demais ali.
And nowhere that Perks could go.
Ele já não tinha que estar ali.
Too overextended.
What is happening though is that C9,
as
mentioned previously, even though they're giving up kills left and right, it doesn't really impact the larger state of the game. Sven is getting ridiculously bad. Yeah. Absolutely. And here's what we saw earlier. I think that I understand the Pantanat call to try and contest it, because if you lose Praetiv here, it's 100% gone on the Drake. But Biopanther, look at his health bar, right? Look at his mana bar, and he's a Yorick. All those factors should be enough.
Eu acredito que se o Yorick não desse TP, o Jace também não daria, né? Mas olha o estrago que o Yorick faz no side lane, sabe? É isso que eles precisam fazer. So deixar o Yorick sozinho.
We're slowly getting to the point where Biopanther in like 3.5 minutes has to be hitting inhibitors if you want this trade to be worth, because it's going to be like 21-minute Cloud Soul for your opponent is real bad news.
Yes, most certainly is. However, was able to at least break down the outer turret there towards the top side, as Julia taking some fire here from Fudge. He's going to miss the shock blast though, and that is going to cause Julia to survive for the moment. But C9 still controlling this rift completely, and we've already illustrated it, but it's even more important. We talk about map control and the fact that it is really, really strong. However, if you've got a poke composition, it's paramount.
Cara, é bem complexo aqui. A cena já tá bem destacada, tá bem interessante, tá bem forte. Tá chegando já no segundo item dela. Particularmente eu acho que o Biopanther tem que ser deixado sozinho na rota. Você não tem que ajudar ele e nem pedir ajuda dele.
He's not going to let everyone die on his team.
Eles têm que fingir que ele não tá no jogo. Olha ele no bot já.
Yeah, Decoy underneath the turret now, Fudge. Oh, it's another shooting gallery, and Decoy is going to be on the wrong end of it. Perkz still looking for even more, but it looks like Chaz and Pabu will be able to make their way out. Once again, Praedyth on the wrong side of this one, as he's just going to try and scoot his way out. Will do so successfully, as we can see, but there are not a lot of turrets available, as Praedyth going to Blade Whirl and Flash, and that is.
E agora, provavelmente, o Yorick vai levar a torre sozinho. E vai ser rápido, viu? Vai ser muito rápido.
Better save than sorry is the thought here, but slowly Pentanet are losing control of this game. Don't forget, this is a must-win for C9 here.
Oh no, there's a lot of sleepiness going on here as another Dawning Shadow flies on forward. Pentanet.gg underneath their own turret will be taken down. Chaz falls as well. And now C9 will be able to take this turret if they would like
Se pá, ele pega T2 agora. E é muito rápido, olha isso.
Yorick and Julia trying to take matters into their own hands.
E vai levar.
It's the epitome of a Yorick composition, right? Like, you're losing at the rest of the map, but Yorick is definitely getting those turrets. Unfortunately, it's too much, and this is the thin line we were talking about. As Pentanet, you either need to play well enough defensively or find offensive openings. The offensive openings were never in contention. And C9
Meu Deus.
grouping so well, has been playing
o pior
so
é que o Jace não tem como responder ele, não. Mas é o tempo do Barão, né? O Barão faz com que ele resete muito, eles resetem muito rápido. E eles resetando uma velocidade tão alta, eles podem contestar muito fácil.
As this game goes on, of course, we've got an outer turret on the bottom side of the map, outer turret on the top side of the map for C9 to still get, and it looks like a stiff breeze.
Mas o Yorick é a esperança da composição. Se eles conseguirem comprar tempo pro Yorick ficar sozinho na lateral, é o sonho.
If the split push doesn't have any time to get any splitting done without losing your nexus, that's when you can fall into problems, especially against a composition that sieges so well, like what C9 have put together. As Chaz is going to take his blue buff. That is... Oh, was it? Yep, yes he did, he got it. Thought that might have been stolen away from Perkz, as Vulcan does have to flash. He's going to keep himself alive, and C9 continuing to
Queimar o flash do tanquente é sempre bom.
Not going quietly into the night.
Isso quer dizer que você dá um pick-off em alguém que esteja longe dele, ele não vai poder dar aquele flash salva. Que também significaria um erro de posicionamento dos dois, né? Tanto dele de quanto quem ele vai salvar, mas... Cara, o Praedyth tá... Ele morreu pouco, mas ele tá sendo constantemente errado nesse posicionamento.
And I'm joking, but that is what the champion is designed to do. However, it feels like at this point in the game, Pentanet didn't hit the timing. They lost too much pressure on the rest of the map due to the...
Sinceramente, o erro principal da Pentanet e que fez o Yorick perder tempo foi aquele teleporte no bot. Ele teria estragado bem melhor o jogo. Ele tem teleporte, inclusive. Eu acho que ele só vai poder jogar no top lá.
On this inhibitor turret in the mid lane, Decoy down to half. They managed to take down that turret, as you can see. But Biopanther, he has to spend time in the mid lane. This is absolutely not where he wants to be, trying to get his team back into it, as the Cloud Soul going to be available for C9 as well, if they would like to collect it. And they will do so. The map very, very dark for Pentanet.gg at this point in time.
And it's one of those situations where, in terms of ultimates, you know, movement speed after ultimates is not that amazing, but in terms of just general movement
Nossa, e pro Jace, agora que eu pensei isso, eu não sei como é que eu tinha pensado nisso antes. Pro Jace é incrível, e pra Zoe também, ela vai dar a bolinha, vai dar o pulinho e depois vai ganhar move speed. E o Jace idem, vai trocar de forma, vai ganhar ainda mais velocidade de movimento, faz sentido.
I feel from this point in the game, Pentanet need an absolute miracle, and this is the real problem to me, is I don't think that their comp really facilitates that.
This is not the miracle that we were after, as at least Black Shield is going to get Pabu a little bit further away, and thankfully that spell immune is going to survive through the bubble. However, not through all of the damage that was coming down. Sven, once again, another fantastic ultimate in that last auto, just to take down Decoy, as Chaz gonna get mown down as well. BioPanther wondering why there are more than one other person in the game alongside him. The Arc is also going to fall, and unfortunately for Pentanet.gg,
novamente, é assim, claro, né, óbvio. A Pentanet ela trollou muito no early, ela se ferrou muito nas escolhas dela. A composição não ficou redonda, sabe, não ficou funcional.
But it's a start, and that's the important thing, right? They needed this win more than anything, and Pablo and Brady, it's the last Hail Mary attempt, but I don't think it's going to be enough, Atlas.
No, it's just not going to happen. Sven is absolutely massive, and Chaz flashing onto his fountain, not wanting to be a statistic as the Nexus does fall down. Yorick just going to try and get a bit of damage here, but he's also just going to be sitting on his fountain. Sven, okay. C9, they'll get to work on this Nexus eventually, and C9 just savoring their first victory here for the Rumble stage. And look, it's not exactly against RNG, but they will take it and keep their hopes alive moving forward.
Bom, tá. Vamos lá. Ponto, acho que o principal ponto da Pentanet foi uma inabilidade em capitalizar o recurso que eles pegaram aqui nesse duo aqui, sabe? E incapacidade também de deixar o BioPanther no negócio dele. Era para ele já ter levado a T1 naquele tempo lá e ter aliviado a pressão aqui. E consequentemente aliviando essa pressão, a segunda levada dele seria para levar T2 e talvez T3. E aí teria outro tipo de jogo. Faltou a Pentanet entender também que a composição deles, o time deles, tipo, ainda digo, se fosse uma Kai'Sa no lugar da Samira, faria muito mais sentido, tá? Teriam sofrido problema com range igual? Teria. Mas ela lida muito melhor com esse tanquezinho aqui e com esse tanquezinho aqui. Ela tem visibilidade quando chega numa certa fase do jogo que não teria chegado. E ela tem muito follow-up, sabe? Então seria bem mais tranquilo o jogo para uma Kai'Sa do que para uma Samira. E se a ideia deles era comprar tempo e jogar recuada e etc., eles poderiam ter pego uma Zaya também, né? Ela ia tomar outrange da cena a vida inteira, ia tomar dano, caramba. Mas pelo menos ela ia ser capaz de negar esse engage da C9. E consequentemente poderia ganhar tempo pro Yorick puxar do outro lado. Mas boa execução da C9. Conseguiram executar rápido o suficiente jogadas no outro lado do mapa para que o Yorick não ganhasse tudo. E claro, né, faltou. Mostrou assim, a PGG já mostrou que tá jogando um pouquinho melhor, que tá testando coisas diferentes e não tá só, digamos assim, aceitando que já perdeu, sabe? Apesar de que agora tudo pra eles, como eles mesmos falaram, é tudo experiência, é tudo o que vier é lucro. Mas eles estão mostrando coisas novas. Eu gosto desse Yorick, eu acho que é um campeão que tá forte, por um propósito único e específico de split push. Mas ele é quase imbatível nesse propósito. E eu achei muito maneiro, muito boa essa ideia desse campeão aparecer aqui. E faltou sinergia do resto do time para impedir esses avanços com tanta força. Se fosse uma Zaya seria muito melhor. Nossa, seria realmente muito melhor. Porque o wave clear de uma Zaya é muito mais clean. Ele poderia ter defendido mais, ele poderia ter protegido mais. E seria bem mais tranquilo. Seria a bot lane para eles defenderem aqui, seria Zaya Rakan na realidade. Seria incrível. Zaya Rakan seria incrível, meus amigos. Mas é isso. Foi um jogo legal, divertido de se ver. Das duas equipes que estavam 0-4. Agora a C9 tá 1-4 e a PGG tá 0-5. E vamos lá que nos próximos jogos a gente vai encerrar a primeira rodada e abrir a segunda rodada desse Rumble Stage. Então, galera, muitíssimo obrigado a todos vocês e, como sempre, GG. E até logo.